think we get started. Dr. Scott's here. Dr. Dominassi's
Now.
Yeah.
Ty and I have been talking a lot for 5 years, but you know Ty. But what an honor today to get to hear Ty and Ty tell his story and you know, just about everything that he's done. And let me tell you, Ty's an inspiration to me, like I'm sure he is to many of you. I first saw Ty in April of 2018 at a fun run. And actually, it was Ty and it was in Taylor. It was both of them. Where'd Taylor go? I just saw her. Oh, there she is back there. But the first time I ever had Ty in a class was fall of 2020, right after COVID. And he came whipping into the classroom, senior boots on, you know, just spiffy as can be. He still outdresses most of us, and he did that again today. But since that day, Ty and I have built a relationship to the end of his undergraduate career and then his graduate program for the past 10 years, right? That's about what it is.
Yeah.
But as Ty and I have worked through his program and made a tough decision in the summer after an unfortunate day in May, which I'm going to let him talk about, a day that I won't forget, I'm sure he would like to forget. We decided that there was just a different direction that we needed to go, and part of that was taking what we had planned to do in his thesis program and do today. Because I said, you know, what we were working on was just too good not to tell the story. And this is so much more impactful than his committee sitting in a room, and that's the only 5 that would have heard the story of an autoethnography study of what he was looking at. So I said, let's do this. Let's do some storytelling at the end of the semester. And we hemmed and hawed about it, and then we finally got serious about it and got the date, and I'm so glad to see everybody here. A few weeks ago, Dr. Vincent, our department head, was in my office and we were talking about it, and I don't even know how it happened, but all of a sudden an idea came up that, you know, departments have distinguished lecture series and they have people they bring in, and we're doing one now, and we said, you know, why don't we do this more often with students? Every semester, every year, we have outstanding students that, what I tell students is they're remarkable, and sometimes they're remarkable in a great way, sometimes they're remarkable in ways that maybe at the other end of the spectrum, but this guy's remarkable on that great end. So what we're just absolutely pleased to announce today, and we're going to try to formalize this, is that this is the first ALEC Distinguished Student Lecturer, and Ty is our inaugural student lecturer. So let's give Ty. We believe that there's a donor out there in our department that will support this down the road, that we maybe give a scholarship to, and that part of that scholarship be that they have to deliver a lecture. and it could be about anything, their time at A&M, what they've learned, and I think you're going to hear that today. So I'm really excited, as we've also named today Ty Sutton Day around the department. I'm really excited to let Ty tell his story, and after he finishes, if people have questions, we want to do that. And then I'm very thankful for Dr. Preston, who has provided some, I don't even know what's back there, goodies, Tammy, but thank you so much for that. And then just the time to spend with Ty. So before we do this, because I'm going to forget, I need to turn his microphone on without taking the laptop off the desk. Ty, try talking.
Test. Test.
Okay,
We can go get,
what didn't I do right when I turned this off?
we can go get Vincent's second grader and she'll figure it out.
Probably so.
Probably got both. That's mine.
Oh, no wonder, I've got the wrong one.
Is it still up?
There. It should be good now. There's two of them in there because also I want to thank John Chivis for recording this. Somebody said we need artifacts of our students, and so thank you to John for doing that. But it is my absolute pleasure to not steal his thunder anymore, but to turn over the floor to Ty Sutton and Ty's story. So Ty, it is all yours.
Thanks so much, Dr. Cummins. Howdy. Howdy. So thank you all for coming today. First, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to my family, my friends, the Department of Agricultural Leadership, Education, and Communications, Corps cadets, and to this beloved campus, which is all very dear to me. You all played a pivotal and significant role in my life by helping develop and shape the leader I am today. The good Lord knows I could not have completed the journey without the help and support and assistance of my family and my beloved friends. As a graduate teaching assistant, it has truly been an honor to serve under you, Dr. Cummins, Dr. Preston, Dr. Strong, Dr. Boyd, and Dr. Moore. I will forever be grateful for the time I got to spend with each of y'all and the opportunity to learn how to become a better facilitator, to be able to help further our mission as a department, to prepare our students for the future challenges. Today is an honor to share with you all the story of my journey as a student here at Texas A&M. Very few of y'all know of my journey and the impact both the negative and the good has had on my life. Throughout this personal story of my lived experiences, I desire to establish awareness of how accessibility and social barriers impact students' perceptions of pursuing their degree here at Texas A&M. My story is rooted in the 6 values that Texas A&M holds to the highest degree, and I am a firm believer that in order to create change within the system or environment is to analyze whether the current system or social behaviors align with the mission, purpose, and most importantly, the values of this university. My intent for this is to act as a catalyst of change by challenging the status quo of making the environment of Texas A&M more accessible and inclusive for all individuals regardless of their abilities. I have been rolling on this campus since the fall of 2017. I've been here for a minute, y'all. But I had the honor of obtaining 2 prestigious degrees from this department. Back in 2022, I earned my agricultural leadership and development with a minor in extension education degree, now with my master's in science. My intent after graduation this month is to pursue my Juris Doctorate at Texas A&M Law School with the intent to specialize and become a dispute resolution attorney. With that, let's talk a little bit about my story. Yeah, That's a little aggravating me right there. So here am I. Well, I'm probably one of the most complicated individuals my family has had the honor of raising, to be honest. Now, I grew up in a small rural community out in West Texas called Melvin. My family has been in the sheep and goat industry for 4 generations, making me the 5th generation out there. You know, growing up on a ranch has served as a cornerstone of who I am today. My parents and community instilled in me the values of hard work, tenacity, grit, integrity, and respect. I know. I deviated off the rocker a little bit, and I will admit I did like TV for a little bit when I was about 8 years old. However, I did repent and quickly reconvened on the correct path. But what makes me a little different than most Aggies with the agriculture background is my journey with a rare hereditary degenerative disease diagnosed as spinal muscular atrophy. This progressive condition is unpredictable, impacting individuals in various ways. It stems from a deficiency in survival motor proteins, leading to a relentless decline in muscle function. The result is often pronounced weakness and significant muscular atrophy. There's a couple of things. Can I give you a sip of water? Thank you, Ben.
This is a team effort up here.
Diagnosed at the age of 2, and although I was too young to fully comprehend the implications, I was fortunate to have supportive and loving parents who guided me through this challenging path. I intuitively understood that my journey would be fraught with difficulties and challenges that would affect my daily life. Nevertheless, from a young age, my upbringing instilled in me the belief that every experience carries meaning and purpose, regardless of its scale. The early years of my life were marked by complexity and adversity. I was in constant battle for survival as the disease progressed. Because SMA often compromises the immune system, I faced frequent health crises with pneumonia, posing a constant threat if I encountered even the slightest illness. My childhood was marked by sickness and struggle. Difficulty in breathing and hospital visits became all too familiar. Despite these daunting circumstances and the erratic nature of my condition, my mantra was to embrace each day as it came and confront tomorrow's challenges only when necessary. Despite my limited strength, I never allowed my disability to predict my capabilities or desires I wanted to do. I grew up on a ranch. I enjoy being outdoors. Helping my dad work the livestock, hunting and shooting. My parents said I was always an innovative, go-getter type of little kid, was bound and determined to find a way to do what I loved. There were moments when I found myself in tricky situations. Ask my dad, there was a lot of those. I would frequently get stuck and have to wait for my dad to come to my rescue. Yet these experiences taught me an invaluable lesson in consistency, dedication, resilience, and motivation. I learned that each challenge was an opportunity for growth. As time passed and I matured into a young man, my character and values continued to grow. Yet my physical condition seemed precarious, as if I was precariously balanced on a tightrope. Some days my strength surged, while on others I felt myself weakening. The uncertainty was unsettling, casting a shadow over my future aspirations. I had always envisioned myself attending college, yes, Texas A&M, not TU, continuing my family's legacy in agriculture, marrying and starting a family. Yet these dreams often felt like a distant fairy tale, and the reality of achieving them seemed insurmountable. I vividly remember a particular harrowing moment from my childhood when I was just 10 years old. yet a new severe bout of pneumonia that landed me in the hospital. Connected to a marauding machines, I fought for every breath, with my inhalations and exhalations acting like a diesel engine. Revving inside me was the reason was loud and relentless. But lying there in that hospital bed in Dallas, Texas, I felt myself grow weaker with each passing moment, as if my body was slowly slipping away, and I was powerless to stop it. The anguish of possibly dying felt surreal. As I reflected on the memories and the challenges I had faced, both physical and social, and thought about how the world seemed unwelcoming for someone like me, I turned my frail little head towards my parents, who were steadfastly by my side all the time, praying for a miracle. I found myself asking the question of why. Why me? Why was I dealt with this hand? I longed to be like every other 10-year-old boy, playing football, running, riding horses, and it was painful to feel ostracized and treated as though I belonged to another world. Some people would pat me on the head, patronize me, treat me like a child, or even as a pet. I had few friends my age, as most kids shied away from me, choosing instead to stare or make crude jokes. In our agricultural and rural community, many people were simply uneducated about how to treat and interact with individuals with disabilities. They often presumed that such individuals were intellectually deficient and viewed disabilities as a burden to the family. The nagging question of why weighed heavily on my mind, especially knowing my parents had no answers. It all felt so profoundly unfair at the time. Little did I know that this particular experience would become a pivotal moment in my life, a catalyst for my transformation, and a driving force behind my desire to advocate for others who might have experienced similar struggles. Amid all this turmoil, I will forever remember the words of wisdom my father spoke to me on that day. He said to me, "Bo, it's not about the grand accomplishments in life. It's about the small victories, the little things that truly matter. If you can find joy in what you do, even if they are small, that is what counts. Take one day at a time, focus on today, and worry about tomorrow when it comes." These words have remained etched to my heart, fueling my motivation during times of uncertainties and guiding me along the challenging path toward success. In that pivotal moment of my life, I faced a profound choice. Would I surrender to the weakness that threatened to consume my body and dwell in self-pity? Or would I muster every ounce of strength within me to pursue my dreams and aspirations? Well, I think you all know that answer pretty well. Throughout my journey, relinquishing the fight has never been an option for me. I was determined to prove my capabilities were equal to anyone else's. This conviction and resilience formed the very foundation of my identity today. It's nothing short of a miracle that I sit here now, attending this prestigious university as a master's student. Let's go one more over, Dr. Cummings. There we go. I always knew I wanted to attend Texas A&M University and obtain a degree in agriculture to carry forth my family's legacy. In fact, it was the only school I applied to. What attracted me to this great university was the caring spirit towards other Aggies, the value of selfless service that I hold very dear to my heart. I was accepted into the Gateway program here at Texas A&M in the summer of 2017 to prove that I had what it took to become a full-fledged Aggie. The first time coming to Texas A&M University was quite overwhelming in regards to the environment, especially coming from a small rural town out in Melvin and when you were homeschooled all your life too. The most daunting thing was not attending large classes or taking challenging courses. It was the built environment. Not being able to access buildings on my own, And I would also like to mention that Texas A&M University is committed to adhering to the ADA rules and regulations, ensuring that all students, accessibility for all students. However, despite these efforts, there are several gray areas within every environment. For instance, I encounter specific challenges due to my mobility impairment. For example, I am unable to use elevator buttons or to open doors with automatic push buttons, which is a standard ADA accommodation. These limitations made navigating the campus particularly difficult, as I had to rely on finding someone to help me gain access. While the university's commitment to accessibility is commendable, there are still aspects of the built environment that pose significant obstacles for individuals with disabilities like myself. To make it on class on time, I will need to allow enough time to leave White Creek over there on West Campus, drive my wheelchair to main campus, and find someone to open the door. The environment often felt like it wasn't built with people like me in mind. There were numerous times when I was stranded outside in inclement weather, waiting or trying to find someone to walk out of the way so I could get inside of a building. As a dedicated student, I have never wanted to miss class, especially due to an uncontrollable circumstance that impacted my life. My mantra has always been that there is always a way, but sometimes it's uncomfortable. From a leadership standpoint, it is never easy to ask for help. And I know that for someone like myself, I should be accustomed to seeking assistance, but I'm not yet. We all inherently desire to be independent, especially in the little things of life that most of us take for granted. I remember I was going to HEAP over there on West Campus for a soil and crop science class. I would typically arrive about 15 minutes early and ask if someone could help me open the door. I will never forget this time. I went up to someone to ask if they could help me open a door, and normally they were pretty helpful and considerate. However, you always have that one person, or those few people. And I remember asking this guy for assistance, and his reply was, "There's an automatic button outside for people like you. You can do it yourself," and walked away. Oftentimes, individuals with disabilities are already experiencing the norm of feeling different, and asking for help can be challenging, especially when it's small, like pushing the elevator button or opening a door. Then when you have individuals like that who have the audacity to tell you there is a function made for you, instead of and wondering to themselves, so why are you asking for help, instead of thinking, I know there is a system in place, but maybe this Aggie can't use it. But I know we do not live in a utopia world, and common sense does not always flourish very well. But this encounter allowed me to view social interactions differently, thinking about how I sought and asked for assistance, because the built environment is not the student's fault. I have to have grace and understanding that they do not know what I am capable of doing, or why I can't push a button. My intent throughout my life was to always help people become better leaders, become better stewards, especially when they know. Providing a brief explanation of why I need help, I think helps foster that awareness and better understanding of saying, hey, I need some help. Can you open the door? I can't push the button myself. It gives them more perspective, and that clarifies things. During my senior year, I had the privilege and honor of taking a youth development course with Dr. Nelson. Dr. Nelson is one of the most authentic and genuine leaders on this campus, truly exemplifying the values of selfless service, respect, leadership, excellence, and integrity. I remember we were talking about the challenges I faced and continue to face during my time here at Texas A&M within regards to building accessibility. And he looked at me and said, let's fix it. That moment brought everything into perspective. There is hope. And our campus can become more accessible and inclusive, enabling all individuals, regardless of their abilities, to access academic buildings without any hindrances. This has always been a passion of mine, to help change the environment, give individuals a sense of independence, and eliminate infrastructural barriers that can cause stress and potentially impact one's health. Students' main intent should not be focused on the built environment, but solely on their academics and future career goals. This universal design impacted my life by giving me a sense of independence and relieving the stress and worry of having to allocate time to how I am going to get into AGLS. The WAVE system eliminated that barrier. And I know several other students with physical mobilities who have been positively impacted by this change as well. There are many forms of a new standard of ADA access, such as automatic doors, as seen at Zachary, or incorporating an additional push button that is at level with a wheelchair or with a service animal to push. However, there is currently no solution on this campus for elevator access, and implementing a new systematic approach is slow. One thing I have learned from working alongside Dr. Nelson is that change is difficult, especially when individuals cannot see a system through a different lens and recognize how it may be broken or insufficient to meet the needs of all students. But it requires us to remain resilient and determination by being that squeaky wheel, because many people depend upon our actions. Oh goodness, yeah. Once you fix the issue, then you have this. So, oh goodness, you have people who are just blatantly oblivious to their surroundings at times, as shown in this photo. I remember I was taking a class over there at the ILCB, and it was cold that day. So I was hightailing it back to AGLS, full speed, 7.5 miles per hour. I thought I was flying, but you know, I get there and I see this, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I had a student take a picture of it, reported it, never had an issue again, but come on. But, you know, working on the Accessibility for All project with Dr. Nelson and I, you know, our intent is for this to become a movement to make Texas A&M a more inclusive and accessible environment for our students, staff, and community. Dr. Corbett, I'm going to take one more little sip of water before we get into the good stuff here. Coming to Texas A&M University was a dream that became reality. But there was also a tradition that I wanted to be a part of, the tradition of becoming a cadet. So I did my research, trying to find someone with a severe physical mobility impairment who has done it before. And to my discovery, one did not exist. As an avid researcher and someone who enjoys reading the rules and regulations, I knew that joining the Corps of Cadets was not prohibited or a disqualifying factor due to my disability. As today is primarily a well-renowned leadership organization, the uncertainty of becoming the first didn't deter me from pursuing this goal. Instead, it fueled my desire to take on a challenge bigger than myself, which would prepare me to become a more efficient leader, ready to deal with the unpredictability and challenges in any given environment. I was eager to join, but I strategically chose to wait my second freshman semester to join. I'm glad I did. There was a lot of building issues I had to overcome first. My sister and I have always been competitive siblings, and we have seen a lot of laughs together. Taylor has always been my rock and supporter. She decided to commit and join this unpredictable journey of becoming and earning the title of a cadet alongside me. It was in the fall semester, around October. Taylor and I decided to speak to the recruiting office and give them at least a heads up about having two out of the ordinary, highly motivated little individuals who desire to become cadets. I always often wondered what was going on in their mind as we spoke about our desire to push ourselves even further, become keepers of the spirit, and most importantly, apply this program throughout our lives. Taylor and I made it very clear that we did not want to be treated any differently. We wanted the whole experience, which encompassed intense training from upperclassmen, of course, yeah, the yelling, the good stuff, morning PT, required events, marching, and other responsibilities. They told us that we were the first. I already knew that, but you know. And they assigned us not to a traditional outfit, but an outfit known as Company V1, which was comprised of veterans, non-traditional students, married couples, students living at home, and now two wheelchair-bound, highly motivated individuals.
Figuring each other out.
I've been trying to do that for 7 years.
In the spring of 2018, we joined the Corps. I remember attending our spring orientation week and seeing the faces of all the other freshmen. Some looked confused about why we were there, while others wore a scowl of disgust. One of my good friends in the Corps told me that many of the incoming freshmen that spring were making wagers of how long Tara and I would endure the Corps treatment. Oftentimes, individuals would punch, a Corps terminology for dropping out of the program for various reasons, but most were due to the organization's intensity. We lived off the quad, and we lived over there at White Creek still because Quad is not the most accessible place in regards to the dorms, a little bit small. But every morning, Monday through Friday, at 4:15, we would make the journey to the main campus to ensure we were up on the wall, ready to greet our upperclassmen and start training. I will always admire my outfit's culture and the leadership within it, saw Taylor and me for who we were, not for the factors affecting our lives. They treated us as every other freshman. The structure of the Corps was not challenging. It was a social aspect, especially other cadets. And the worst was former cadets who despised the idea of having individuals with disabilities be a part of their beloved Corps. I remember Taylor and me were told by our chain of command within our outfit that marching may not be possible due to various reasons. But our outfit knew our dedication and commitment to giving our all every day, and they were not going to settle for that response. I will always admire and respect the leadership exemplified by Mr. Christjoy, now known as Dr. Christjoy, he's a professor here, Mr. Owens, Ms. Tiedman, and Mr. Velasquez, for not taking no for an answer, and for being advocates on our behalf. In an environment where one can easily feel as if they do not belong, I have never once felt that out-group exclusion within my outfit, V1 Viper Company. Dr. Covertime, I need one more listen. This is an interesting story here.
Picture.
I know, this,
That's Trent's but picture.
Well, whew. This is a unique picture right here, y'all. But I remember that day, it was hard. It was on a Tuesday in the spring semester of 2018. Around the time, I think it was like February, if I had to take a rough estimate and guess. It was cold and rainy that day. As you can see, the raindrops on my outfit and my brim and my cover and all that good stuff. But the day before, I earned the Outstanding Freshman Award. The award recognizes a cadet who has demonstrated a character of excellence, upholds the standard to the highest extent, and conducts themselves in an honorable manner that reflects positively on the outfit and the Corps of Cadets at Texas A&M University. But what made this different was that I was fatigued and tired. The elements were not helping. The environment was not helping. And as I proceeded to my 8 a.m. class, I had to go and find yet another student to help me with the door. And also to help remove my cover. When I joined the Corps, I just had to add another level of complexity to my life. Seeking help to put on my cover, which is my hat, every time I entered or exited the building. I mean, why not? Just one more thing. But I found an upperclassman cadet and asked for help to open the door. And he said yes. As he opened the door, as a fish, I respectfully asked him if he could help remove my cover. His reply was, if you cannot do it yourself, you should not be in the Corps. My patience that day was dwindling, kind of like our motto for our outfit, patience, health, was manifesting in me that day as clearly depicted in the picture. The cadet was not responsible in providing assistance by any means. However, as a cadet, we hold ourselves to a higher standard of excellence, which also encompasses the keeper of the spirit, which includes the values of A&M, selfless service. During that moment, it fueled me to muster every strength I had to continue the trajectory of striving for excellence, because the only way to fix an issue with an environment is to earn a position in order to initiate that change and hold others accountable for their actions, in order to preserve and improve the environment and the legacy of the Corps of Cadets. Though the Corps challenged me both physically and mentally, I never regretted joining it, as it has made me a stronger individual and allowed me to see how individuals who despise change respond to those who disrupt the traditional view of what the Corps should be. I have had numerous interactions with cadets who just truly despise my existence. I was made fun of, verbally told I did not belong, from older former cadets who came back to watch Corps march-ins. My sister and I used to call over there about the Clareburg area the web, and we would have to make our way through there every time we went back to the quad. Often I was stopped on my way by individuals, by older ads, who seemed curious and friendly. But a commonality I've heard was comments such as, "Where'd you buy that uniform, buddy? Your existence is what makes the Corps weak. You gotta love politics." My rebuttal as a cadet was to remain and obtain a respectful composure, but to be firm and direct, with my general comment will always have been, with all due respect, that is your prerogative. If you do not have a specific question or concern I can help you with, I have an obligation and time commitment elsewhere. If you would like to authenticate my position in the Corps, feel free to reach out to General Ramirez. And to my knowledge, I don't think anyone ever did, unless he hasn't told me that. So, another challenge I faced in the Corps was dealing with the stigma that only the strongest and the fittest were in the Corps. Reflecting on this, I realized that notable leaders are usually strong and non-disabled. I had not encountered a disabled person recognized for their leadership contributions. It was initially angering to realize that society had a box of where people with disabilities belong based on stigmas and assumptions. However, I was able to combat these misconceptions of what people with disabilities are capable of accomplishing. I proved myself just as capable as any other cadet by earning the Outstanding Freshman Award in my outfit, transitioning to Corps staff to the rank of a Master Sergeant, which allowed me to serve over the day cadets, and my senior year earning the rank of Lieutenant Colonel, which allowed me to serve as the Executive Officer and Disciplinary Officer over the day cadets and Corps staff. Throughout my time, I might take one more sip, Dr. Corson. Thank you. I need to come up with a better system for myself here.
We're good.
Throughout my time in the Corps of Cadets, I often reflected on the campusology that every freshman cadet was expected to memorize. During difficult times with dealing with ignorant people, Governor Koch's advice to the students echoed in my memory. To the students, let your watchword be duty, or know no other talisman of success than labor. Let honor be your guiding star in your dealings with your superiors, your fellows, with all. Be as true to trust, repose as the needle to the pole. Stand by the right, even to sacrifice itself, and learn that death is preferable to dishonor. The approach I have always utilized in my life is never settling for mediocrity. My goal was to change the status quo, where leadership begins with the ability to reason and through effective communication with your followers. It's not based on physical strength. What I have learned and applied throughout my time in this prestigious leadership program will continue to carry forth in my career as a dispute resolution attorney. My goal will continue to disrupt the status quo by making the environment more inclusive, encouraging people that anything is achievable, regardless of their ability. I have learned throughout my life that sometimes your most significant limitations in life start with your ability to conquer your mindset. This is a hard one for me, y'all. I will do my best to compose myself. Traditions at Texas A&M are unique and special to our campus. But oftentimes the value of respect and loyalty to one another are often forgotten. In my first semester here, I was eager to attend my first home game. I overheard my classmates talking about getting with a group, and I had a small group of friends in one of my ag classes. I can remember asking them if they would like to go to a home football game with me, and they all said yes. But as we were pulling at the ticket window, back when you could pull at the ticket window, the ticket window person said our area was a sitting area only. And that was a deterring factor for my friends. They all said, no, we do not sit, we have to stand. Because the 12th man never sits. And they said, we're sorry, Ty, but we are going to stand in another section. That was a helpless feeling, a feeling not being a part of a group, not being a part of the 12th man. Because I couldn't stand, even if I wanted to. That hurt because people who I thought were my friends, who saw me for who I was, did not have enough respect or loyalty to look beyond the metaphor of standing. At the game as a freshman, I noticed that the limited mobility area in front of me, where standing was prohibited, was not enforced as it should have been. Trying to watch the game was difficult, and to this day, I still do not know why my little uneducated self didn't report it and fix it. I mean, what was I thinking? I don't know. But so sorry. I did not have a group my first semester to go with and enjoy football games with. It would just be my sister and I. Yes, Taylor, I enjoyed going with you. But it was for a semester for the both of us. Then we sat with the Corps of Cadets. We had a body, we had a unity. And we were on first step. It wasn't until I started my master's program that I noticed the same issues of students standing within the ADA area on the second deck was still a problematic concern that was yet to be addressed. During this time, I was more confrontational and direct with people. The Corps prepared me for that. However, during home football games, it is a very loud environment. And I am not always the loudest individual, especially if I'm feeling weak that day. I remember it was the fall of 2023. I went to a home game with a friend and sat on second deck in the wheelchair seating area. There was a rail directly in front of me, followed by several rows of bleachers below me for other students with limited mobilities to sit. The section clearly states that standing on the bleachers in this area is prohibited. Oftentimes, students do not adhere to this rule and will stand on the bleachers because they believe in the literal meaning of standing for every home football game. In the games before, students would sit down after my guests asked them to, and point out where standing was prohibited within the section, because people don't like to read anymore. But this specific game was different, and we were playing Auburn. It wasn't like any other. The fellow Aggies standing on the wood were unwilling to sit down, which left me, along with several other Aggies in wheelchairs, unable to view the field. My friend and I had to leave our seats to find a security guard or a police officer to help us. We found a custodian who radioed a security guard who firmly told the students to sit down. A few of them began to sit down, but there was one individual who was in the Boy Scouts, who was wearing their uniform, who refused to comply with the orders of the security guard. The security guard stood in front of the boy and reiterated that he must abide by his command. The Boy Scout pulled out his phone and began recording and was bluntly rude and disrespectful by stating, "He does not sit and will stand with the 12th man." The security guard escorted the boy out of his section, which led a small little revolt by the students, who praised him for his stance by not complying with the seating regulation, but to whose expense? Everyone else who couldn't stand. Toward the end of the game, a few students began to stand back up as we continued to score. My friend left to get a security guard. One of the students in front of me looked at me with a disgust on his face, displayed his middle finger, and told his friend, "Our motto is we stand with the 12th man. If you can't, you can leave." I have always supported our Aggies during home football games. To me, standing for the 12th man means more than the literal definition of standing. It means upholding the traditions, the culture, and the values that set us apart from other universities, and exemplifying the values of respect, excellence, leadership, loyalty, selfless service to the best of our abilities. What was displayed and demonstrated on September 23rd, 2023 by fellow Aggies did not exemplify the true meaning of standing with the 12th man. It felt like we were not meant to be there. We were not a part of the 12th man. As an advocate, I reached out to other students who were experiencing similar issues and formulated a report to be presented to former Vice President Jim Ramirez, Dr. Orr, and former President Walsh, who helped address the problem from continuing to occur. Their action plan of incorporating law enforcement and best security personnel supervisors to enforce the mandate of sitting worked. Traditions are meant to be spent with people who embody the true meaning of what it means to live by your values. It is more than words, it's a way of life. Clearly exemplified it throughout their character and interactions with others. Oh, let's talk about this day a little bit. This day will mark a day in my life that I will never forget. It was a Monday morning, May 19th, 2025. I was observing the accessibility features at Wayne Roberts Building on West Campus. Upon my departure in the back of the building, my life flashed before my eyes. As I felt propelled forward and hit the concrete, my head completely turned to the right under my right shoulder. I felt it pop at that moment, and everything went black. I do not know whether it was a vision or if I went to heaven, but I do know that my body was completely healed and I was walking. I saw my grandparents, a family friend, and my beloved service dog Bonnie, who was equally waiting to greet me. Yet there was something preventing me from proceeding forward. I heard my grandpa Leland tell me in a firm, confident tone, fight, fight, fight. And I heard my best friend Avery call out my name to wake up. I was trying, Avery. I was enjoying the moment there for a little bit. I was found by a student, and I told him to call 911 and to call Dr. Cummins. Face down on the ground, the student said I had a gash on my head and my left leg was in excruciating pain. It felt like someone was getting a knife and cutting it open. When the paramedics arrived, I asked them what had happened. They're like, we don't know what happened. I was like, well, I don't remember what happened. I was like, where's my wheelchair? They're like 3 feet behind me. I'm like, what? In my mind, like, I can't even fathom that. I was in the hospital at St. Joseph's with a broken femur, 2 sprained ankles, multiple bruises throughout my body, a gash on my head. Couldn't remember certain things for at least 2 days. But seeing a photo from my parents, there was a curb, but it looked like the rest of the sidewalk. The step did not serve any purpose for the building, and the lack of awareness almost resulted in me in losing my life. I am grateful that my wheelchair did not fall on top of me, as I probably would not have been here sharing my story of my lived experiences with you all. I was told by Dr. Cummins that they immediately leveled the spot, but the response, Texas A&M University's officials, especially from former President Walsh, demonstrated that he cared. And I know that our environment is not perfect by any means, but Texas A&M is willing to take initiative by making something that was bad a better place, a better environment for those who come after me. This one hits a little different. I want to talk a little bit about this outstanding organization some of y'all are here in this room. ALEC Ducks Unlimited. I joined them this semester and I am so glad that I did. Throughout my time here at Texas A&M, I have never been recruited by any organization. In fact, my little aggravating self, during my undergrad as a cadet, I would purposefully go to the MSC open house, look at random people with their orgs, and they would intentionally look the other way, not wanting to make conversation with me, but that didn't deter me. I still rolled up there and we had a little conversation. But ALEC Ducks Limited, they're different. I wasn't seeking an organization to join, but their president, Austin Fargo, was outside the West Campus dining area with his banner and asked if I wanted to know more about their organization. I was initially shocked because that has never happened to me before, and especially to encourage me to attend their first meeting. This organization made me feel a part of their organization because they saw me for who I was as a person and never once excused me or made me feel that I was a burden. They made me feel a part of a family who truly cares. And I know it's a small thing, but when we go to home games and we begin the tradition of Psalm off, I have never been able to extend my arms around my fellow Aggies, so I sit there. This group of people right here always put their arms around me and we sway. It brings everything into perspective. And this is how traditions are meant to be embodied. In closing, my journey has been one marked by resilience, determination, a steadfast commitment to embracing the challenges of life has thrown my way. Despite the obstacles posed by my condition, I have learned that with unwavering support from my family, my friends, A&M, we can rise above adversity and overcome the barriers that stand in our way. Each struggle has not only shaped who I am, but has also ignited my passion for advocating for change within our educational environment. As I share my story, I hope to inspire others to look beyond their limitations and to recognize that every obstacle can be transformed into an opportunity for growth. To those who come after me, my word of advice is to never underestimate the strength that lies within you and the impact of the support system you cultivate. Embrace your uniqueness, be persistent in pursuing your dreams, and remember that you have the power to create a more accessible and inclusive world for yourself and others. Together we can pave the way for future generations to thrive, ensuring that every individual has the opportunity to achieve their aspirations regardless of the challenges they face. Thank you all so much for coming.
Wow. Thank you, Ty.
So,
That, I don't even know what to say. That was incredible. I do want to do something real quick before we break for refreshments. Ty's mom and dad, if y'all just stand, please, family. Taylor, if you want to come up here. Let's give them a round of applause. We so much appreciate allowing us to be part of the story for the past 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, whatever it is. I think he got his dates wrong. I think it's a lot longer. And I do have to say, Ty, that on his opening slide, it said Ty Sutton, MS. That hadn't happened yet, buddy. Your committee's in here. We might just have to put that off for a semester.
just one more year.
But so much appreciate y'all coming today. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask Ty? I know we could have stories, but this could take all day, so. I think Dr. Preston's ready back there. Ty will be around, but Ty, we appreciate, and I hope everybody enjoyed. Have a great rest of your afternoon, great weekend, and I'll say this early, beat the hell out of Miami. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dude, that was freaking incredible.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. It was on time.
Let's get you right in.